Opening a monthly financial statement and staring at a heavy student loan or credit card balance while watching headlines tout record stock market gains creates an immediate, unsettling tension. You are left feeling caught between paying off the past and trying to build for your future, unsure which direction truly moves you forward. This conflict often traps ambitious individuals in a financial waiting room, frozen by the uncertainty of where to direct their hard earned income. Month after month, every spare dollar goes toward backward looking obligations, creating the painful illusion that your personal wealth building journey is perpetually on hold. Traditional advice frequently tells you to eliminate every single cent of debt before investing a single dollar, but this rigid all or nothing framework can severely undermine your long term success. Following that extreme path often causes people to spend their most productive earning years entirely on the sidelines of wealth creation. When you delay investing until your total debt balance reaches zero, you forfeit the single most powerful ingredient in building wealth, which is time in the market. Missing out on early compounding interest creates a permanent gap in your retirement portfolio that even aggressive savings later in life cannot fully bridge. The practical solution begins by establishing a starter emergency fund of $1,000 to $3,000 in an accessible, high yield, liquid account. This initial cash shield acts as a circuit breaker for your finances, ensuring that unexpected life events do not force you to take on new liabilities while trying to pay off old ones. By establishing this liquid reserve first, you convert unexpected expenses like medical bills or vehicle repairs into minor inconveniences rather than catastrophic setbacks. You pay cash directly from your reserve, preserving your budget and breaking the destructive cycle of relying on high interest cards whenever a surprise bill arrives. Once your starter shield is secure, you can categorize your debt based on its annual percentage rate, or APR. It is critical to separate toxic high interest balances like credit cards carrying 18% to 29% APR from low interest obligations like federal student loans or fixed mortgages holding interest rates between 3% and 6%. This mathematical distinction forms the foundation of a balanced financial strategy because different interest rates demand completely different responses. Comparing the exact interest cost of your debt against the historical average returns of diversified market investments gives you an objective guide for prioritizing your cash flow. Confronting high interest credit card debt requires putting aside guilt and looking clearly at the numbers. Paying off a credit card with a 24% APR yields an immediate guaranteed 24% return on your money, making aggressive debt reduction one of the highest yielding financial decisions you can possibly make. High interest debt forces compound interest to work against you, creating an exhausting financial drag on your daily life. Reframing your mindset allows you to treat high interest debt paydown as a high return investment strategy, transforming a stressful burden into an empowering step toward complete financial control. Once your starter cash reserve is securely in place, the next step on your financial blueprint involves capturing what is arguably the single highest return on investment available: your employer 401k match. When an employer offers to match your retirement contributions dollar for dollar up to a certain percentage of your salary, they are handing you an instant 100% return on those dollars. No market strategy, real estate investment, or debt reduction effort can consistently beat a guaranteed double your money return on day one. To put this into concrete terms, if you earn $60,000 a year and your employer offers a 5% match, contributing $3,000 of your own income brings an additional $3,000 directly into your retirement account from your employer. Choosing not to contribute enough to claim that full match means leaving $3,000 of earned compensation on the table each year. That is why capturing this match takes absolute priority, even if you are actively working to pay off existing consumer debts. Stepping back to view your complete financial picture, turning down matching funds in order to throw every available dollar at moderate debt fundamentally slows your momentum. The workplace benefit represents free money allocated specifically for your future, creating a powerful wealth building engine while you sleep. By claiming every dollar of that match, you alter the trajectory of your entire financial journey from the very beginning. This shift does far more than boost your account balance. It transforms your relationship with money on a psychological level. Rather than seeing yourself solely as someone paying down past choices, you instantly step into the identity of an active investor. That mental shift creates a powerful momentum, proving that you can simultaneously secure your future self while systematically taking charge of present obligations. With your employer match secured, your focus shifts toward tackling remaining debt through a structured mathematical strategy known as the debt avalanche method. This approach requires you to pay the required minimum amounts on all outstanding loans while directing every available extra dollar toward the debt carrying the highest interest rate. By attacking the highest annual percentage rate first, you minimize the total interest accrued across all your accounts. Consider a scenario where you hold a credit card balance at a 24% annual percentage rate alongside a federal student loan at 5%. Under the avalanche strategy, every extra dollar you can spare goes straight toward eliminating that 24% credit card debt. Eliminating a high interest obligation delivers an effective risk free return equal to that interest rate, saving you hundreds or thousands of dollars in compound finance charges over time. While pure mathematics favors the avalanche approach, financial choices are deeply tied to human psychology and emotional momentum. This is where an alternative strategy, the debt snowball method, offers a powerful behavioral tool. Instead of organizing debts by interest rate, the debt snowball directs extra payments toward the account with the smallest absolute dollar balance, regardless of the annual percentage rate. Eliminating a small store card or minor medical debt completely provides an immediate psychological victory that reinforces your financial discipline. Seeing an entire account balance drop to zero creates measurable progress, boosting your confidence and building momentum to tackle progressively larger obligations. Choosing between the math driven avalanche and the momentum driven snowball ultimately comes down to understanding what keeps you most consistently engaged in the process. Once high interest toxic debts are fully cleared, your strategy evolves to address moderate, lower interest obligations, such as federal student loans or low rate car loans. Rather than rushing to eliminate these manageable balances at the expense of all else, you can comfortably transition into a dual track strategy. This approach balances ongoing steady loan payments with targeted investments in broad market index funds. By splitting your surplus cash flow between low interest debt payoff and long term investing, you allow your wealth to grow across two fronts at once. Directing money into low cost index funds gives your capital time to harness the power of compound market growth over decades. Simultaneously, maintaining steady payments on low interest debt keeps your balance shrinking, ensuring that every month brings you closer to comprehensive financial freedom. When you carry moderate debt with low fixed rates, like a student loan at 4 or 5%, paying it down aggressively can feel like the safest emotional choice. Yet every dollar sent toward low interest debt is a dollar that cannot participate in the historical growth of the broader market, where long term returns have averaged 7 to 10% annually. That gap between what your loan costs you and what your investments could earn creates a quiet, persistent tension between emotional comfort and actual mathematical growth. If you were to redirect just $200 a month into a low cost market fund over 30 years, instead of overpaying a low interest loan, compound interest could transform that modest contribution into hundreds of thousands of dollars in accumulated wealth. Clearing the debt early might offer short term relief, but ignoring long term growth leaves an enormous financial deficit at the exact moment you need independence most. Stepping into the market does not require complex trading strategies or hours spent analyzing balance sheets. Through accessible vehicles like an individual retirement account, commonly known as an IRA, or a broad market index fund, you can instantly purchase a tiny share of hundreds of the largest, most established companies in the economy. An index fund simply tracks an entire market index, such as the S&P 500, offering built-in diversification without the risk of betting on individual stock picks. This built-in diversification means your growth is tied to the collective output of the broader economy rather than the volatile fortune of a single company. By combining tax-advantaged accounts like a Roth IRA with low-cost index funds, ordinary earners can systematically capture market compounding while keeping fees remarkably low and administration completely effortless. It is completely natural to feel anxiety when market downturns arrive, especially when you are still making monthly payments on your existing loans. Watching your investment balance drop while your debt total stays fixed can provoke a powerful instinct to pause contributions or pull back entirely out of fear. Yet maintaining your investment contributions during market dips is precisely how wealth is accelerated because lower share prices allow every dollar to purchase more shares. Recognizing that volatility is a normal, temporary characteristic of long term growth helps you stay grounded, turning market fluctuations into an ally rather than an emotional threat. The true breakthrough in your financial journey happens when you realize that financial freedom is not achieved at a single distant finish line after every debt balance reads zero. True financial health is powered by two distinct engines running simultaneously. One engine systematically reduces your total liabilities, while the second continuously expands your asset base through compounding growth. Someone who focuses exclusively on debt paydown must start building wealth from scratch years down the line, forfeiting precious decades of compound interest. By contrast, running both engines together ensures that by the time your final loan balance vanishes, you already possess a robust, mature investment portfolio ready to support your future goals. To make this dual track approach effortless, the next step is establishing an automated cash flow system that operates without relying on daily willpower. Setting up recurring automated transfers on payday directs exact allocations toward debt paydown and investment contributions before money ever reaches your main checking account. Automation removes emotional friction, impulse spending, and decision fatigue, turning your strategy into a silent, consistent routine. By transforming your strategy into an automated habit, you guarantee that both your debt elimination and your wealth creation proceed smoothly on autopilot every single month. Once you replace financial inertia with a structured system, the true transformation begins not in your bank account but in your mindset. For too long, debt carries a heavy burden of emotional shame, where past student loans or consumer balances are viewed as personal moral failures rather than simple financial liabilities. Reclaiming your financial agency requires reframing those liabilities as sunk costs already incurred, separating your self-worth from your balance sheet. By releasing money guilt and focusing entirely on present execution, every payment toward debt or contribution toward an index fund becomes a deliberate act of momentum. Celebrating these incremental victories, whether paying off a single credit card balance or reaching your first $5,000 in an investment account, rewires your relationship with money. You cease viewing your income through the lens of obligation and start seeing it as a powerful instrument for personal growth. As your career evolves, life events such as salary promotions, job transitions, marriage, or buying a home will inevitably alter your financial landscape. Rather than letting lifestyle creep consume those additional financial resources, a balanced framework adapts dynamically to rising income. Whenever you receive a wage increase, a reliable guideline is to allocate 50% of the new income directly into compounding investments, while directing the remaining half toward accelerating loan repayment. This simple rule ensures that your standard of living grows modestly while your wealth building engine gains immediate speed. By pre-allocating new income before it hits your daily spending account, you guard against the temptation to inflate fixed expenses. Over time, these dynamic adjustments compound significantly, preventing higher earnings from dissolving into transient consumer spending and turning life transitions into permanent financial upgrades. To see why this dual strategy matters, imagine two individuals starting out with identical salaries and debt balances over a 20-year horizon. The first person dedicates every available dollar exclusively to paying off loans, achieving zero debt after 10 years before finally making a first investment contribution. The second person balances debt repayment alongside consistent early contributions to low cost, broad market index funds right from day one. While the first individual eventually clears all liabilities, they have surrendered 10 crucial years of compound growth during their early career. The second individual, despite carrying moderate debt for a few extra years, reaps the exponential harvest of 2 decades of uninterrupted compound interest. When comparing their final balance sheets 20 years later, the balanced investor routinely yields a substantially higher total net worth, illustrating that lost time in the market can rarely be recaptured. As high interest consumer debt reaches zero and student loan balances dwindle into insignificance, your available cash flow expands rapidly. This shift marks the next evolutionary phase of wealth creation, where focus moves toward maximizing tax-advantaged investment vehicles like Roth IRAs and health savings accounts. Directing expanding surplus capital into these accounts shields your asset returns from future capital gains taxes, locking in compound efficiency. Economic research continuously demonstrates that households implementing structured, automated wealth frameworks achieve significantly greater lifetime financial security than those relying on sporadic savings habits. This structural stability alters the broader trajectory of personal finance, breaking generational cycles of consumer debt and transforming household balance sheets across entire communities. Beyond national statistics, the reduction of financial chronic stress restores clarity and psychological well-being to everyday life. When unexpected emergency expenses or economic downturns no longer threaten basic stability, decisions are made from a position of strength rather than panic, allowing individuals and families to focus on career growth and personal fulfillment. For working families navigating this path, the daily routine shifts from reactive crisis management to confident long-term legacy planning. By establishing clear ratios, automating income flows, and maintaining continuous market participation, money transforms from a constant source of stress into a silent, steady engine that powers enduring personal freedom. When families sit down at the kitchen table to implement this structural shift, the immediate result is a quiet end to daily financial friction. Spouses stop arguing over whether a spare $200 should clear a credit card balance or enter a brokerage account because the allocation rule has already been set. Children witness a household operating with purposeful routine rather than reactive anxiety, creating an intergenerational shift in how money is understood and managed. That behavioral clarity alters the daily lives of household decision makers far more profoundly than any single percentage point of investment return ever could. Looking at the broader economic landscape, this approach challenges the outdated financial dogma that once demanded absolute sequential debt elimination before building assets. Federal Reserve Consumer Finances surveys from recent years confirm that individuals who maintain even modest market participation while paying down debt build significantly higher net worth over multi-decade spans than those who delay investing entirely. The fundamental assumption that debt repayment and wealth creation are mutually exclusive choices has been permanently altered by empirical evidence across millions of households. This system-wide shift proves that long-term security is not built on total debt elimination alone, but on developing resilient asset bases while systematically shrinking liabilities. Major financial institutions now design guidance frameworks around this dual engine strategy, recognizing that delaying market entry by even 5 years severely impairs long term compound growth. By rejecting the binary myth, households establish a sustainable wealth building trajectory that protects them against inflation and market shifts simultaneously. Financial freedom is not a distant finish line crossed only when every debt balance reaches zero, but a quiet confidence that begins the moment your first automated index fund contribution and loan payment execute side by side. If you found these insights helpful, subscribe so you don't miss our next breakdown.